Hi, this is Everett, Everett's Watercolors, here in my studio, and today I'm going to do another painting, which I'll be putting on the internet and be on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. So what I'm going to do today is one of my other favorite subjects is going to be rocks. We're going to do rocks today. So I'm going to have a little discussion here of how I paint rocks and also give you some techniques that I use also. So let's go to my painting table and let me get started. Now here's a reference photograph here of a nice bunch of rocks. Okay, got a nice pathway. It's got a pathway coming down here. So that's kind of like a configuration I'm looking for. But I'm going to improve some of the designs here. And I found another photograph of a large rock. I really like this one here too, and I like the color. This is warm colors, and I've got some cool colors here. So I'm going to use the cool and warm color contrast. And I'm going to put this rock inside this combination here. So I'm going to add this rock here to this basic setup right here. Okay, so that's where I'm going to start my design. Okay, now I've gone ahead and did a design drawing. And so this is the larger area rock, and back here, and I got the pathway down here. So that's going to be my configuration right there. So that's my design drawing right there. Okay, so I'm going to take that, and I'll go over here on my quarter sheet of Gemini watercolor paper. This is 300 pound heavy duty, 300 pound archival. It measures 15 inches long and about 12 inches wide, 11.5 inches wide. So, and I'm going to draw some design here on the paper here in a minute. Over here, I got my palette with my colors of my Holbein artist watercolors. I got some brushes. This is a 3/4 inch flat brush from Holbein. This is a 1/2 inch flat brush. These are synthetic. And I'm going to use a little palette knife today too. This is a palette knife that I'm going to use for getting some texture and some designs on the rocks. And so we'll get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that design I'm drawing and I'm going to go ahead and make sure I got the nice large rock over here. So I'm going to start over here and get that design in. There's a large rock over here on the left side. I'm going to come up here and come up and get that shape I like. And so I'm going to use that portion there to give me some nice shapes. And come on down. Okay. And I'll get the bottom here. It's in the pathway. I'm going to keep that. Okay. And then the other part of the photograph I showed, I'm going to use this other rock formation over here. So I put this shape in here on the left side here. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this shape down over here for the rest of the drawing. So I'll start over here with this section, and I've got a section. There's a little dividing point here. I change I use the reference of the photograph, but I can change my shapes and so forth the way I like it. And bring this on down. Let's see, what I'll do here is put a little more, this down here, I'm going to put a little more shapes over here on this side. There'll be another little set of rocks here at the bottom. And down here, and I'll bring this one over here. I'll bring this one out just a little bit more. And have this one out. And I got the back portion here. There's a section here I'll add on. Some way off in the background here, and the pathway will come in, give it an angle. Don't want to have it straight on. And the classic part of the rocks is the edges are hard and got sharp points, and angles, different angles. And I got some rocks over here on this edge. Bring that on down. Got some rocks over here. These are closer, so we'll be able to see some design on that, some definition on that. And then bring these over here. Okay, so there's my design on my painting board, my painting paper. Okay, so get a nice look at that. You can take maybe take a snapshot of that. That's going to be my design drawing right now on the paper. Okay. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll bring this up. I'll bring this up over here. I'll put this on a board so we can see a little bit better, so I can move it around. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the paper and put we'll get a little bit of background sky. Now the sky is not going to be that important, but we'll have a little background. So I'll start out with these are my two Hake brushes. This is large and medium size Hake. These are silver brush, and they're in my palette, in my on my website, everettwatercolors.com. And I'm going to start out with wet up the brush here, and I'm going to put just a little bit of water up here in the sky. Just wet the paper. Makes the paint go a little bit fast, a little bit easier. Okay. And I'm going to mix up some color. And the sky, I'm going to use a little bit of cobalt blue. And move this over just a little bit. Cobalt blue, and I'm going to bring in some little bit of the Listern crimson. That'll give me a little bit of purple in the sky, and a little variety. And then down here at the bottom, I'll put a little bit of yellow ochre. Get a little gray it down, just a little bit of yellow ochre at the bottom of the sky. So it'll be a nice variable color. Okay, so I got the sky is wet or moist. So get that blue in there. Now I'm just going to go across. I might leave some wet paper for some clouds. A little bit of purple in. This is 300-pound paper, so it takes a little bit more paint to get in there because the paper is a little heavier. I'll pick up some of that yellow ochre. Bring down across the rocks. They're going to be painted different anyway. Bring it down across the rocks a little bit. Okay, that's just a real basic sky. A little bit of white showing for the clouds and so forth, just to give a little more interest up there. Okay, so as far as the ground goes, I'm gonna leave that a little bit till later. Make sure to pick there some of the white paper. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to dry this now with a blow dryer. So we'll dry the paper. And you know, even though this is dark now, it's when it dries, it'll be much lighter. Because the watercolor will dry about 35-40% lighter when you dry the paint. So it may look a little dark when you put it on. I'm going to wipe some of that off just a little bit with a tissue. So I had to integrate the sky in with the rocks, not to have a separation there. I don't want to have a division between the colors. I want to keep it. You keep the unity factor here, the colors of the sky and into the rocks and so forth. And you check with the back of your hands. When it feels warm, it's dry. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start putting in some color here into the rocks. I'm going to start out here with the. I'm going to start here with this rock, this large rock over here. Remember, it was nice golden color, so I'm going to start out with yellow ochre, and maybe pick up a little bit of yellow deep, and maybe a little bit, even a little bit of orange. So this is going to be a warmer, color over here, and I'll introduce a little bit of burnt sienna. So this is going to be a warmer rocks over here. So I'll start in with the yellow ochre, and I get the color in there. So I'll just put the color down. So I'm getting this nice big warm rock here in the beginning. Okay, now I'm going to pick up my my palette knife, and I'm going to take some of that paint. I'm going to go in here now. I'm going to start designing a little bit here. So I'm using scraping motion. I'm going to get some lights and darks in here, and this will also build up my edges. Picking up the color out of the palette and using the edge of the blade. Okay, I'm going to go back to the brush, playing with some of those edges now. So this is going to be a rugged. Rocks are rugged, and I got texture, angles. So I'm making sure I emphasize that here on this large rock that I'm painting, getting the edges nice and sharp, and making look hard edges. That's the characteristic of a rock. Bring out some burnt sienna. Bring out some of that burnt sienna in there. Keeping the paint nice and wet at this point. Okay, now you can see it's nice and wet, and you can see the colors, and it's sharp. But what I'm going to do now, I'll use the palette knife, and I'm going to go in. I'm going to do some scraping now, and I'm going to break up some of that color. Now I'm going to shape the rocks, individual pieces, the crevices, and so forth. I'm going to use the palette knife to give me some design elements here, and I'm just going to start with this. Just scraping it through, moving the paint around, giving it some edges and shapes and so forth. So I'm actually pushing the paint around with the palette knife, and I'm building up some of those shapes of rocks on this particular section here. Making sure I got some light areas and some dark areas. It's easier to put in darks later on. I want to make sure I have plenty of lights here. Okay, all right. That'll be a good start for now. We'll let that dry up a little bit, and I'll get back into it later. And now, what I want to do now is the second section is going to be a little bit cooler. So I'm going to mix up some cool colors. Up here, I'm going to put in ultramarine blue, maybe a little bit of quinacridone violet. This will be I'll break that up a little bit, and I'll put some burnt sienna back in there also. Just get warm, just not so it's all dark blue, but a mixture. It'll be dark colors. So now we're going in here now. I'm going to paint this rock over here with a little bit of cool colors now behind this warm rock. Mixture of colors, blue, violet, a little bit of brown. And this nice contrast here against this warm colors will make it really stand out. Getting the edges defined here, the edges of the rocks. Make them sharp against the sky. Put some brown in there with my burnt sienna as I come down toward the ground. Okay, now you can see the difference there. One's warm and one's cool. Now I'm going to take my palette knife now, and I can go in here now and do some design work with this. I'll pull off some of that color, move the paint around, okay, I got the texture there, break up some of those colors. And now the rest of the rocks here are going to be less defined. They're just going to be, going to put colors in there. Now this one back in here, I might put some kind of a medium value, maybe a little bit of mixture here of brown. Browns and blues. Come down to this rock formation here. So that colors back there will be more neutral, be less defined, won't be as bright and defined as over here. And also I'm going to work on this section over here. Make this a neutral color also on the edges. So the edge of the painting, everything will come into the center of the painting. I'll make this a little more neutral over on this side. Won't be as defined or as much color. I'll make this a little duller here over here, more neutral. Which you have more grays in it. More neutral, I'll neutralize the color with the complements and so forth, working with the blues against the oranges. You give me a neutral color. Mixing burnt sienna in with the blue will give me a gray. But keep the warmth in there because of the light shining on the rocks. Bring this on down to the pathway. This little rock over here, we're going to put this. This is more in light, so we're going to give this a little more warmth out here. We'll put a little more warm color here on the edge. It's a little bit further forward, so we'll give a little touch of warmth. There's some yellow ochre there, but we're going to move it back and put some more burnt sienna, and then a little more gray on this side. Be a little darker. Be a little bit darker than that one there because it's closer. More defined. As you get closer forward, the elements get a little more defined. They get sharper. Colors a little more brighter. And what I'll do back here now, just a few scrapes here, just to get some changes out here, and a little more. I'm using a palette knife just to make a couple changes here, just to give me a little definition, maybe edges of the rocks. And this one over here, do the same thing, just so I get a little more. Here I can break it up a little bit with the palette knife. Give me some changes and so I'm using a palette knife to give me textures. And I'm moving the paint around. That's all I'm doing, just moving the paint around. To get a little look at that. Here's dried already, so we'll wet that up a little bit with some more paint. I'll come up with that. I'll separate these two here. I'm going to make this a little bit warmer. So put some more yellow ochre over here. This will make this rock a little warmer against that cooler color there, but it's going to still be dull. It'll be more neutral. A neutral brown. Okay, and over here I'm going to use this palette knife and pull out some shapes, scraping in some highlights on some of the edges of the rocks. Scraping the paint. Okay. All right, let me dry this now. I got pretty well got the base. This is the base coat down. I got the base coat. I got this light area against the lights and darks right here. This is kind of the center of interest right here. Then I got a duller color on the outside. As I come forward, a little bit warmer. Take a little bit warmer colors here as I come forward, but not as bright as these two in here. Okay, these are the brightest colors in this section here. The other colors are less bright and more neutral. Okay, so that's I got my base coat down, and I'm going to dry this, and I'll work on the pathway. Okay, and then we'll go back and add in some detail. All right. So what I've done so far is I've added the base coats to the rocks, and concentrated on the edges with a brush, and then I went in with a palette knife and moved the paint around and gave me some highlights and a little bit of texture definition. We can do more, but there's more definition over here, less definition on the outside rocks. Okay, we'll blow dry this here and get the paint dry. Won't take too long. This 300-pound paper is a very heavy paper, and it takes a lot of paint to soak through. You can hold a lot more paint, a lot more water. You can see here it doesn't bend very easy. It stays pretty flat throughout the whole process. So it's a good weight of paper to use for this kind of techniques where you have lots of paint and water flowing around. I'll test that. Yep, feels warm. It's dry. Okay. Okay. I don't know what that's all about there. Let's see. Now, what I'm going to do now is going to do the pathway, and it's going to be going to make it a dirt pathway. So I'll mix up some dirt color first of all. Let's mix the paint up first of all. So a little bit of dirt. It'll be light. I'll make it lighter in here. It'll be light here and get darker as I come forward. So it'll be light against this dark here, light against dark. Then it'll get darker as I come down forward. Okay. So we'll start out with a little bit of dirt color, and I got some right here in the palette, which is pretty good. It's that burnt sienna mixed in with a little bit of yellow ochre. It's got a combination already. I already got dirt color already here in the palette, which is good. I like to use my palette color for different parts of the painting. That way I don't waste any paint. Try to use up all the paint I have in my palette and the paint. But this is a big area, so I'm going to have to mix up a lot more. Let's see. So I'll get up a little bit dark. I'm going to get a little bit darker here for the foreground. So I'm going to mix a little more of that, a little more paint here. It'll be the blue, ultramarine mixed in with a burnt sienna. That'll give me a dark brown. Then I'll put a little bit of yellow ochre to give me that warm color for the sand or rocks, rocky. It's a sandy. It'll be a sandy pathway. Sand with small rocks. But I want a different. This will be lighter and it'll be darker back here. So I'll work on the values now. This will be lighter up here. I may put a little bit of yellow ochre in here, make it lighter. A little bit of yellow ochre, add in here, make it lighter. How about that? See? So I use my lighter color, which is yellow ochre, yellow lemon. That'll make this lighter up here already. And with a lot of water, that'll keep it light. As I go back, I'll have less water, but a little more pigment. Mixing that brown, mixed in with that blue, so that'll give me a nice color. A little bit of yellow ochre. That'll give me that nice dark color of the sand in the background. Let's see, I might put a little more blue in there. I want to, because the sand will be a little bit darker than that. Yeah, a little browner. Yeah. Okay. And up here, I got a nice light mix up here with a little yellow ochre mixed in with the yellow lemon. Makes a nice light color. So there's a difference right there. And by controlling the water in there, I can get it darker and lighter by adding more water. Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll wet that area a little bit, just a touch. So I'll use I'll use a small Hake. This is a small Hake brush. Small, medium, and light is the three brushes I have in my supply page, everettwatercolors.com. But these come in real handy. Now I'm going to put in a little bit of water here on the trail. Wet this up a little bit because this paper takes a lot of paint, a lot of water to go soak in. 300 pound. You have to put a little more pigment, a little more water, and it'll take a lot of wetness on 300 pound paper, a lot more than 140 pound. Okay, so that's something. If you use 300 pound, you get used to that of making that change. I'm going to start here with a darker mix now. Now I'm going to use the 3/4 inch brush, and I'm going to go in here and just put in this colors. And I may leave some white areas just for highlights and so forth. Just to keep it, kind of interesting. Maybe little white patches of something. It might be rocks and stuff there on the trail. Some lighter sand, little patches. Might leave little traces of white paper there in the paper. That makes it look more interesting. But this will definitely be darker back here. And it's got shadow also coming from the rocks. We might add a little shadow there at the end after I get this located in here. Okay, now as I come forward now, I'm going into the lighter area. As I come forward. I've changed my plan. I started with dark going to light, so I'm going to stay with that. I was going to go from light to dark, but I changed. I'm going to let the painting tell me what it wants, and I think it'll be nice this way. I'll keep the dark back here and make it lighter coming forward. That goes against these darker rocks here. And get more interest up here. So. Okay. Put a lot more water in the mix up here in the foreground. Keeping it lighter than the background area. Okay. Now I'm taking a little bit of this darker area. I'm going to go up next to these rocks here where I can kind of put maybe a little shadow patterns up here next to these rocks. Put a little shadow back on the trail here. While it's still wet, that'll keep it, give me a soft edge. I don't want a hard edge on the shadows. I'll just show that it's coming into the sun is coming in. Casting a shadow here on the trail, and by doing that, so a little darker here on the sand. Give it a dark mix. And I think I'll go off the edge here. I don't want to have a line there, so I want to keep the edge. And I can use this color here now to kind of blend in the edges here. I don't want to have a hard edge. I want to have a soft edge here, kind of a gradual connection with the sand and the rocks. Same way over here. I'm going to connect the sand with the rocks. Don't want to have an edge. Kind of blend that in so it doesn't show up as an edge. Okay. Okay. All right. So that's still a base coat. We can go back and put in a little more detail, but right now that was a base coat there for the trail. So right there we got everything blocked in. Let me go ahead and dry this now. So what we did here on the trail was I had to mix the dark sand color and a dark lighter color, which we used the yellow ochre mixed in with burnt sienna. Then up here I put a little more blue in this mixer to make it darker with the ultramarine blue mixed in with burnt sienna and yellow ochre. So I made a darker mix and a lighter mix. And I started here in the background with, I changed my plan. I went from dark to light. So I started with a darker mix back here and then came forward and it got lighter as I came forward. And then I connected the rocks with the sand so that there was no hard lines. I want to keep a soft edge on the edge of the rocks on the sand. And hard edge up here around where it's up in the sky. Hard edge up there where you can see the rocks, and down here a soft edge around the sand. Remember, we're working on 300-pound paper, so it's a different texture. Takes a lot more water and a lot more paint on 300 pound. Okay, test it. It feels warm, it's dry. Okay. Okay, test with the back of your hand. If it feels warm down there, it's dry. Okay, so there we are. We're on 300 pound. So what I can do now is I can go in and now I can put a little more textures and maybe a little more definition on some of the rocks. You'll notice this rock here, for example, has a shadow pattern back here, so I can add that shadow pattern into these grooves and so forth, so I can play around with that. And the ones in the middle there, they're pretty well defined. They got some cracks and so forth in there. Okay, so I can work on that just a little bit. So I think what I'll do here now is just take the small brush. I'll take the round. I'm going to go in and mark out some of that shadow pattern on this rock here. So I'm going to mix the color, darker. Now I need a darker mix now of brown and blue, and maybe a little bit of magenta, a little bit of quinacridone violet. Make it a sharp, nice shadow color. A dark orange. Maybe put a little orange in there. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back here now. I'm going to go in and put in some, put a little bit of that definition of these rocks here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put in some darks in here. These are the shadows now on these rock edges. I have the light coming from this section here. So that this casts shadow from this one section of the rock onto another. So now I can start separating some of the sections here of this rock face. Now I'm going to make the edges hard edge against the sky, so they'll show up as a silhouette, and that's typical of a rock. It'll have a lot of texture, but you'll be able to see the definition of the rock up there. Okay, so that's what I've done there on that first top there. So separate. Now I'm subdividing. I'm taking that one section here. Now I'm subdividing this area into different shapes. So I'm subdividing. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in. I'm going to bring this one down and build another edge along here. And break this section up. I'm going to leave sections of it alone. Leave it the original colors there where they are, so it looks like it's got crevices and so forth, which it does. And the back side of this, now the sun coming this way, so this back side here will be more in shadow over here. So I'm going to put the shadow pattern, again, the edge is going to be hard edge. This one down. I'm also using some of these lighter areas here to define some of the faces of the rock faces, the sections. And now this shadow here now is going to be a lot darker than this rock here, so that way it'll separate the two with the shadow pattern. That'll make that interesting also. So this is going to be the main character here in my painting is this rock right here. And this will be the support character, the blue one, the cool. I've always enjoyed painting rocks and mountains. They're fascinating. They're fascinating structures. I guess it's because of the age. They've been here. Some of these rocks have been there for centuries, same place. They've lived, they're going through a lot of age and weather, many, many years of. This rock I'm going to leave alone. Okay, now I can make, I think what I'll do is make a few lines. I'll use this, I'm going to make a few crevices here just to break some of this stuff up. Just give little shadows here in the rock. So I'm using the break some of this up just to give a little definition of some of the rock face here. Give a little character. Maybe one more, maybe a couple more over here. Don't want to get carried away, but just you can play with this a little bit and make as much detail as you want on these rocks. But just gives a little more definition, a little more interest. See, they just kind of build up a little bit of look. So I'll leave this rock alone. This one over here now, I can probably add a little more definition over on this one. Not much. This one's already dark, so just clean up some of the edge. I want to make sure I got the edge here. A sharp edge. Make sure I got a nice sharp edge on the skyline, which is what I want. These rocks here I'm not going to touch back over, just leave those alone. They're in silhouette. They'll leave those alone. These are the ones, the most important ones over here. And maybe this rock in here, just a couple touches. I'm going to break this up just a little bit, because this one's forward, so it has a little more definition. And that's the whole reason I'm going to put that in there, is just closer. But I don't want to go too far beyond that, just to show that. Okay. Now the shadow patterns, I can add a little bit more here, but not too much. Quinacridone and violet, a little bit of blue. Show some shadow here, just a little bit of shadow coming off this rocks onto the trail. A little more definition, just a little more definition here of the shadow. Maybe a shadow coming down from this way. This is a little bit further in, so this might be a little bit darker back in here. Light coming this way, there'll be more shadow over here. So I'll add a little more shadow on this side. On a soft edge. So I wet the brush, dampen the brush, and just feather that out a little bit. Give it a great gradation. I'll put this in shadow over here a little bit more on this corner here, same way I did on the other corner. Wet the brush and just feather out that edge. The bottom. Okay. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to stop right there. I think that was a lot of fun doing the rocks. Remember, what I started out with was this drawing, this painting here, or this picture here. I use rocks. I use that as my kind of my basic composition. Then I added this rock face here in addition to give it a little more definition of rocks. And this one here, I added that one in also. So I built that one up. These two here are my two important rocks, and then I used the palette knife on it to give me a little texture and so forth. You know, I can use spray bottles and other things. Okay, let me put a mat around it. I think I'll use the blue mat today. So let's put that blue mat around it. Oh boy, oof. Okay. I'll move it up just a little bit. There. Okay. All right. Show just a little bit out on the side here. Now this one really pops out now with that dark border around it. So by framing that, okay. There's my painting of the rocks, and I hope you enjoyed that. Let's go to my main camera. Hi. Hi. Okay. Well, thank you for watching here on Everett's Watercolors, and this is Thursday. This will be Thursday when you see this video, and I'll be back again next week with another video on Thursday. So look forward to that. These come out probably after 12 o'clock. It'll probably be out released. Well, this one here will be released first thing in the morning, so you'll see that when you wake up on Thursday. If you subscribe to this channel, then you'll be notified of the video. Otherwise, you go to Everett's Watercolors on YouTube and you'll find it there. Go to Everett's Watercolors on YouTube and you will find this latest video. So until next week, you all stay safe. I'll be also be in the studio later on today to do a drawing, which is simply drawing with Everett, and I'm going to be doing some more rocks. So you might enjoy that one. So until next time, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.